Hey folks, this coming week we'll see the launch of the final patch 11.15 event, Dastardly Duos. More on that in a bit. But as we start to look forwards to the next patch 11.17, it's occurred to me that the second half of 2025 is looking like it's going to be a busy old time for World of Warcraft, with some major events in the pipeline for the War Within, and most likely later in the summer, the start of the alpha and beta testing phases for Midnight. So I thought that this was a good time to take a look at the second half of the year and what we can expect. But before that, we do have one major announcement from the World of Warcraft Classic team that is also relevant for retail collectors. And that's the announcement of the release schedule for Mists of Pandaria Classic, which will be launching worldwide on July the 21st, with the pre-patch landing the week of July the 1st. The pre-patch will be including the Fall of Theramore event and the introduction of the Pandaren and Monks, along with the Pandaren starting experience, and it's this experience that's most relevant to retail via a new cross-promotion. The Sage Serpent mount is a brand new retail World of Warcraft mount, which players can earn by creating a fresh Pandaren character on the Mists of Pandaria Classic server, and leveling them up to level 20 using the Wandering Isle starting experience, and at the end choosing between the Horde and Alliance. This experience isn't particularly long. Depending on playstyle, it'll take most people between 2 to 4 hours to complete, but it does need to be completed before the promotion ends on the 31st of July. In case you're not aware of how Classic works, it is included in the World of Warcraft monthly sub, so all you need to do to get started is to download Mists of Pandaria Classic via the Battle.net launcher once it becomes available. Now, while I'm on Classic anyways, the World of Warcraft team have also announced the effective end of development for Classic Season of Discovery, with the team moving on to start work on the future content direction for Classic, something that for me heavily hints towards a possible Classic Plus. With the main Classic thread having reached Mists of Pandaria, it does kinda raise the question, would they really go on to Warlords of Draenor Classic? While I would not rule that out completely, given the relative success of Classic Hardcore and Season of Discovery, it does seem to me that there is an appetite for more new content, which builds on the original vanilla Classic foundations, and I do wonder if this is an early hint that perhaps the team are preparing to shift all of their focus onto a Classic Plus. Sunday will see the start of June, which means a brand new trading post, and of course the usual trading post preview. This trading post is going to offer a total of 4 mounts, one of which is returning from a past trading post. One of the 3 new mounts is the monthly reward for filling the trading post bar, and that is the Molten Chimera, a fiery recolor of the Rylak model. The other new mounts are the Cold Flame Chimera, a blue recolor for 700 traders tender, and the Spotted Black Riding Goat for 325 tender, which does mean that getting both the new mounts will cost 1025 tender, so I do hope you have been saving them up if you're a mount fan. And for the returning mount, that's the Pearlescent Goblin Wave Shredder, yours for only 700 tender. Also of interest from this month's trading post, at least for me, is a colourful beach chair for 200 tender and a selection of hot and cold themed weapons, along with some new beachwear ensembles, which sadly we don't yet have a visual preview for. Now, June is actually shaping up to be another pretty busy month for World of Warcraft content, with this Tuesday also marking the launch of the Dastardly Duos event. I will be releasing a full preview guide for the event on Monday, so do hit that subscribe button and follow me on social media for reminders when that goes live. But I personally think that this event has the potential to be the most interesting piece of content for the patch 11.15. Dynamic Duos is an instance boss rush style event with a bunch of what I would describe as build your own difficulty mechanics that allow you to make the fights harder or even easier depending on your preferences. The main focus of the event is building up a high score, and there will be reward options that will allow you to show your high score off, along with an albino turtle mount to collect. This is a limited time event which runs globally from June the 2nd through to July the 15th, and Blizzard this week released a preview video that I will link below. I had a ton of fun testing this on the PTR, and I have a sneaking suspicion that it could end up being a major success. One thing I will say though is that while some of the announcements did make it sound kinda like a Brawlers Guild 2.0, it's really very different to the old Brawlers Guild gameplay wise, being a lot faster paced and much less focused on mechanically complex raid style fights. Looking beyond Dastardly Duos, and we also have the release of patch 11.17, which most of the community, including myself, is predicting for June the 17th. This patch includes a new campaign storyline, the cool new lore working feature, overcharged delves, and a new belt which will be upgradable via delves to item level 691. As well as plenty of launch content, the patch will also continue the trend of timed events, including the return of Turbulent Timeways, which on the PTR is currently scheduled to run from June the 17th through to August the 5th, and will be rewarding the best mount we never had, the Chrono Corsair, aka Time Captain Hooktail, along with the launch of Battle for Azeroth Timewalking. Now, the last two Turbulent Timeways events both saw their PTR schedules being changed before they went live, and I do think that this could end up starting a week or two later, and later on towards the end of June there are also updates to the Midsummer Fire Festival to look forward to, with new bonfires to collect throughout Kazulgar, and the greedy Emissary Diablo crossover and legacy content event to take us through July. And when we look even further ahead, we've actually had a bunch of hints from Blizzard about what's coming up, and I thought it could be interesting to start to try to pull all that together. Patch 11.20, which will include Season 3 of The War Within, will, depending on the final Turbulent Timeways schedule, probably launch either in August the 5th or August the 12th, with the season starting the week after the release date. This is the one patch that we know the least about. There are currently 3 story threads in The War Within, any of which could end up being the centerpiece of this patch. The most obvious is a possible journey to the broken world of Karesh, the original homeworld of the Ethereals, who did make a reappearance in Undermine and was something that was heavily hinted by the ending cinematic for Undermine. Another major story thread is what's going on with the Black Blood in Ashkahet and the new area in the Ringing Deeps, a story that could potentially take us even deeper under the surface to the Harrenier's homeland of the Rootlands. And finally, there's also a bit of a wild card. The 0.7 patch's campaign storylines usually form a prologue for the next major patch, and the 11.17 story focus on Faerun Lothar returning to the Arathi's ancestral homeland might just be hinting, along with the Nightfall scenario, that it may be the Arathi who'll be taking centre stage, possibly leading us to meeting or perhaps even a confrontation with the main Arathi Empire. Now, personally, I think that last option is a bit of a long shot, as I've been expecting that particular storyline will end up being a feature of either Midnight or The Last Titan, so I'm personally leaning towards the first option of Karesh, with perhaps a 40% chance of it being the Rootlands instead. Whatever it does turn out to be, I do expect that we won't have very long to find out, with the reveal most likely happening the last week of June, just after patch 11.17 drop. Gameplay content wise, we do know that patch 11.20 is going to have a brand new standard size dungeon, which will be joining the Mythic Plus pool, along with a selection of War Within dungeons, and of course likely some older options as well. And of course there will be a brand new raid to get our teeth into. Looking even further ahead, and we can expect the Midnight expansion reveal, most likely taking place at Gamescom in late August. We already know that Midnight will be taking us back to Silvermoon to see the restoration of Kel'Thalas and likely a reunification of the elves, and of course we'll be getting player housing, which does make me wonder what, if anything, the World of Warcraft team are keeping under wraps to top all of that. This means that there's going to be no slowdown in World of Warcraft, with the release of the Midnight playable alpha probably at the start of September, and later on the beta most likely landing around October or maybe early November, alongside what is very likely to be the final 2 patches of the War Within, 11.25 and 11.27. In the recent PAX East event, Blizzard reveals that there's going to be another Plunderstorm style limited time game mode. And while they didn't share very many details of that, they did promise that it's not going to be another battle royale, and they also said that it's going to have a spooky mystery theme, and they shared this image of Darkshire. My personal guess is that this is very likely a candidate to be included in patch 11.2.5, which I'm expecting to be released around about early October. The other big reveal from PAX East was of course the confirmation of Legion Remix, which I'm expecting to be part of patch 11.2.7, most likely releasing near the end of November or maybe around the first week of December. Now, one potential thread that I think we will see across all of these new patches is that the developers will be continuing to expand the World of Warcraft user interface as they look to bake more and more add-on functionality into the base UI. We don't have very many specifics of what new features we can expect, but in an interview, game director Ian Hazzikostas did tease a new boss timeline for Raid, which is essentially the WoW team's take on DBM, and it does seem to me that this feature is something that it would make a lot of sense to launch along with a brand new raid, and that does make me wonder if we will see this feature in patch 11.2.0. And I'm personally also hoping that we will see a major update to nameplates, hopefully one that will take on board some of the lessons that Blizzard clearly need to learn from what was, in my opinion, a fairly unsuccessful rollout of the new cooldown manager. And what about the chances of us seeing player housing in 2025? Well, at the recent Creator Summit in PAX East, Blizzard continued to be a bit vague, merely stating that they see it as a midnight feature. But the overall impression that the creators who were there seemed to get is that it's very likely to be a midnight pre-patch release. While that house symbol is on the 2025 roadmap, it is positioned for winter 2025, which for large US companies doesn't really start until the 21st of December, which seems very close to the Christmas break for any type of major release. And I'm personally expecting that that means it's much more likely to be in early 2026, with a full launch of Midnight probably around February or March time. That said, in Legion's patch 11.3.5, 4 of the Battle for Azeroth allied races were launched early for people who had pre-ordered Battle for Azeroth, and I would not rule out the possibility of something similar, with perhaps an initial version of housing dropping mid 11.2.7 as a pre-order bonus for Midnight. What does this mean for the chances of a War Within Season 4? Well, back in BlizzCon 2023, Chris Metzen promised that we could expect a faster release cadence for expansions, which was very widely interpreted as a move to 18-month expansions. And that, combined with what was frankly a lukewarm to negative player response to Dragonflight Season 4, has led me to take the view that another Season 4 is very unlikely. And the more we know about the future plans for the War Within, the harder it is for me to see any way that the developers could actually manage to fit one in time-wise. No matter what does actually happen, for those of us who like to follow World of Warcraft, the second half of the year is looking like it's going to have a lot to talk about. But why wait till then? I'd be super interested to hear all of your thoughts about what's exciting you about the next few months. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you found this update helpful, entertaining, or even just plain annoying, then do let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel to grow and help me to make more of these videos along with my other content, then also make sure to hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. And if you don't want to miss out whenever I release new videos, as well as subscribing, you can also follow me in my social media. My links are in the description down below as well. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.